Hi, and welcome to your ticket to Snoozeville. I'm Suzanne. I'm your host, and will be keeping you company on your journey to Snoozeville, to sleep. A few years ago, I used to have trouble sleeping, and I used to think of sleep as being behind a locked door, with me on one side of it and that door refusing to open for me because it was firmly locked. And then I would start to feel frustrated and angry because it seemed to me that everyone else in the universe was soundly sleeping without waking up once, a full 8 hours. And I was so jealous of those people. I was thinking of sleep wrong, though. It's not behind a door that won't open. It's actually something that we sink into, like water. When we sink into sleep, we feel ourselves getting heavier and heavier, and then we just let go. What we're letting go of is usually our thinking, because our minds love to think. And there's no better time for our thinking minds to go round and round poking at problems than at night. If I focus on just one thing in this podcast, it's the importance of quieting your mind, of just being in your body and feeling it relax. And that sounds easy, but it's not. At least not in the beginning. It is why podcasts like this one can help. Sometimes we just need a little coaching to slow down those thoughts, a little caring nudge to help send us into sleep, another voice to distract us, be with us, and reassure us that sleep issues are completely normal. Almost everyone has them from time to time. So tonight, as we practice another method of relaxation to induce sleep, I want you to simply focus on my words. The words will take you deeper into a state of relaxation. And before we start, ensure that you are somewhere in which it is safe to fall asleep. Preferably your bed, but life sometimes takes us to other places, planned and unplanned. So hopefully wherever it is you are, it's safe. Also, just a reminder that if you like what you hear, please review the show or follow the link in my show notes to buy me a coffee, preferably a decaf coffee. So let's begin. Start by making yourself comfortable and close your eyes. If there is something particular that you've been thinking about, it could be a problem, a person, a worry, a fear, a sadness, or a regret, identify it. Imagine that it has a physical form, and that form is a book. In that book are written all your thoughts about that thing that's keeping you awake. All the feelings and possible outcomes of that thing that occupies your mind is in that book. It can look any way you want it to look. It could be a tattered old notebook, or a beautifully bound book with gold writing on the cover. It can be a book full of to-do lists, a paperback, or a small black notebook. It doesn't matter. But it's all in there, out of your head and onto the pages. Pick the book up and feel it. Feel its weight in the palm of your hand. It used to take up space in your head, but now it's outside of you. Next, I'd like you to imagine a small suitcase. It's an old-fashioned suitcase with clasps that snap open. It may be older, but it's strong, it's solid, and it belongs to you. Imagine yourself opening the suitcase and placing your book inside. It's safe in there. Nothing can happen to your book. Now, shut the suitcase, close those clasps, and place it down somewhere near you with the handle up. You can pick it up in the morning. It's not going anywhere. And in the morning, you will feel refreshed, clear-headed, and strong. You can open the case again then and take out your book. But in the light of a new morning, it won't feel quite as heavy in your hand. And there will be new options and perspectives and solutions that present themselves to you because you have slept. Your mind and body have had rest. Cells are regenerated. New neural pathways have been created in your brain, and your reserves have been refilled. Focus on my words. You are stronger than you think, and you have weathered many storms. But sleep is where you build the strength to do so. Right now, you deserve to rest, and sleep will leave you feeling renewed and refreshed in the morning. So let's take a few relaxing deep breaths. I'd like you to breathe for 4 seconds in through your nose, trying as much as possible to fill your chest and belly. Feel your stomach expand. Hold for 4 seconds, and then breathe out with pursed lips as if you're trying to whistle. Feel the air moving out of your body, and as it does so, it's taking all the tension with it. Again, a deep breath in for 4 seconds, then hold for 4, and out. The tension physically leaves your muscles with every breath out. You are exhaling the stress, the tightness, the knots from your body. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. As you continue breathing in and out, you should start to feel a change in your body. It feels looser. Any tightness in your muscles has started to subside. Continue breathing in, holding, and breathing out. Be aware of how good it feels to be at rest, for your heart rate to slow down. Focus only on my words and your breath, allowing it to guide you to a state of deep relaxation. Next, bring your awareness to your toes. And now with each inhale, you're imagining a warm, soothing light enveloping your toes, releasing any discomfort or tightness from your feet. That light is helping to dissolve the tension. And as you exhale, it's drawn up through your body and out, leaving your feet feeling wonderful, bathed in that beautiful light. Now become aware of your calves and thighs. The light has now reached them, and it's working all the stress from those big muscles. Your breath is easily pulling the tension up and out of your body, where the tension seems to hover for a moment above you in the air before dissolving into nothingness, leaving your legs feeling warm and loose and heavy. Continue this process. Picture the soothing light loosening knots and tightness, and with each breath, you feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper. As you reach your hips and lower back, take a moment to feel the light soaking into that part of your body, healing and relaxing every cell. You're still breathing in and holding and then out. Stress can create a feeling like a lump in your stomach, a tightness in your abdomen, an unpleasant pressure. But it's gone now because the light and your breathing have eased any tension in your stomach and tightness in your lower back. Keep feeling that warm, healing light as it flows through this area, and feel your muscles again becoming heavy and more relaxed. Bring your attention to your chest, to your shoulders and upper back. Maybe you're someone who carries stress in your shoulders, as if you're carrying the weight of the world there. Imagine the light working on those muscles. And if there's heartache, the light is easing the pain, working through your chest, working through your shoulders. It's easing tension from your body, and you're breathing into it and out, letting the calming light fill the space in your chest, along your spine. Feel your torso expanding and contracting with each breath. Feel the light spreading its good energy, bringing a sense of peace and serenity. Let's go to your neck, to your throat. The light has reached your throat now, and your breath is taking all the tension out of your throat, leaving you feeling relaxed in a way that you haven't in such a long time. It feels right. It feels warm. It feels healing. That light. With your shoulders loose and relaxed, your throat and those muscles at the base of your jaw that we sometimes clenched are relaxed. Your breathing is working, taking all the tension from this part of your body. Finally, focus on your head, on your forehead, on the muscles around your mouth and eyes. Exhale any remaining stress from your head. The light is filling it now, chasing down every stressful thought. Picture the warm light enveloping your head, bringing a sense of calmness and tranquility. And feel your entire body now in a state of deep relaxation. Keep listening to my words. They are drawing your body deeper and deeper into a state of calm and peacefulness. My voice is going to stay with you a while longer. I'm going to read a little more of Treasure Island. My voice will continue to make you feel safe and relaxed. It's time to slip downwards. Just listen to Chapter 10, The Voyage. All that night, we were in a great bustle, getting things stowed in their place, and boatfuls of the squire's friends, Mr. Blandley and the like, coming off to wish him a good voyage and a safe return. We never had a night at the Admiral Benbow when I had half the work, and I was dog-tired when, a little before dawn, the boatswain sounded his pipe, and the crew began to man the capstan bars. I might have been twice as weary, yet I would not have left the deck, all so new and interesting to me, the brief commands, the shrill note of the whistle, the men bustling to their places in the glimmer of the ship's lanterns. "Now, Barbecue, tip us a stave," cried one voice. "The old one," cried another. "Aye, aye, mates," said Long John, who was standing by with his crutch under his arm. And at once broke out in the air and words I knew so well. 15 men on the dead man's chest. And then the whole crew bore chorus, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. And at the third ho drove the bars before them with a will. Even at that exciting moment, it carried me back to the old Admiral Benbow in a second. And I seemed to hear the voice of the captain piping in the chorus. But soon the anchor was shored up. Soon it was hanging dripping at the bows. Soon the sail began to draw, and the land and shipping to flit by on either side. And before I could lie down to snatch an hour of slumber, the Hispaniola had begun her voyage to the Isle of Treasure. I am not going to relate that voyage in detail. It was fairly prosperous. The ship proved to be a good ship. The crew were capable seamen, and the captain thoroughly understood his business. But before we came the length of Treasure Island, 2 or 3 things had happened which require to be known. Mr. Arrow, first of all, turned out even worse than the captain had feared. He had no command among the men, and people did what they pleased with him. But that was by no means the worst of it, for after a day or 2 at sea, he began to appear on deck with hazy eye, red cheeks, stuttering tongue, and other marks of drunkenness. Time after time he was ordered below in disgrace. Sometimes he fell and cut himself. Sometimes he lay all day long in his little bunk at one side of the companion. Sometimes for a day or 2 he would be almost sober and attend to his work, at least passably. In the meantime, we could never make out where he got the drink. That was the ship's mystery. Watch him as we pleased, we could do nothing to solve it, and when we asked him to his face, he would only laugh as if he were drunk, and if he were sober, deny solemnly that he had ever tasted anything but water. He was not only useless as an officer and a bad influence among the men, but it was plain that at this rate he must soon kill himself outright, so nobody was much surprised, nor very sorry, when one dark night with a head sea, he disappeared entirely and was seen no more. "Overboard," said the captain. "Well, gentlemen, that saves the trouble of putting him in irons." But there we were, without a mate, and it was necessary, of course, to advance one of the men. The boatswain, Job Anderson, was the likeliest man aboard, and though he kept his old title, he served in a way as mate. Mr. Trelawney had followed the sea, and his knowledge made him very useful, for he often took a watch himself in easy weather. And the coxswain, Israel Hands, was a careful, wily, old, experienced seaman who could be trusted at a pinch with almost anything. He was a great confidant of Long John Silver, and so the mention of his name leads me to speak of our ship's cook, Barbecue, as the men called him. Aboard ship he carried his crutch by a lanyard round his neck, to have both hands as free as possible. It was something to see him wedge the foot of the crutch against a bulkhead and propped against it, yielding to every movement of the ship, get on with his cooking like someone safe ashore. Still more strange was it to see him in the heaviest of weather cross the deck. He had a line or two rigged up to help him across the widest spaces. Long John's earrings, they were called, and he would hand himself from one place to another, now using the crutch, now trailing it alongside by the lanyard, as quickly as another man could walk. Yet some of the men who had sailed with him before expressed their pity to see him so reduced. "He's no common man, Barbecue," said the coxswain to me. "He had good schooling in his young days, and can speak like a book when so minded. And brave, a lion's nothing alongside of Long John. I seen him grapple 4 and knock their heads together, him unarmed. All the crew respected and even obeyed him. He had a way of talking to each and doing everybody some particular service. To me, he was unweariedly kind and always glad to see me in the galley, which he kept as clean as a new pin, the dishes hanging up burnished, and his parrot in a cage in one corner. "Come away, Hawkins," he would say. "Come and have a yarn with John. Nobody more welcome than yourself, my son. Sit you down and hear the news. Here's Captain Flint. I calls my parrot Captain Flint, after the famous buccaneer. Here's Captain Flint predicting success to our voyage. Wasn't you, Captain?" And the parrot would say, with great rapidity, "Pieces of 8, pieces of 8, till you wondered that it was not out of breath, or till John threw his handkerchief over the cage. Now that bird," he would say, "is maybe 200 years old, Hawkins. They live forever, mostly. And if anybody's seen more wickedness, it must be the devil himself. She's sailed with England, the great Captain England, the pirate. She's been at Madagascar and at Malabar and Suriname and Providence and Portobello. She was at the fishing up of the great wrecked plate ships. It's there she learned pieces of 8. And little wonder, 350,000 of them Hawkins. She was at the boarding of the Viceroy of the Indies, she was. And to look at her, you would think she was a baby. But you smelt powder, didn't you, Captain? Stand by to go about, the parrot would scream. Ah, she's a handsome craft, she is, the cook would say, and give her sugar from his pocket. And then the bird would peck at the bars and swear straight on, passing belief for wickedness. There, John would add, you can't touch pitch and not be mucked, lad. Here's this poor old innocent bird of mine swearing blue fire, and none the wiser, you may lay to that. She would swear the same, in a manner of speaking, before Chaplain. And John would touch his forelock with a solemn way he had that made me think he was the best of men. In the meantime, the squire and Captain Smollett were still on pretty distant terms with one another. The squire made no bones about the matter. He despised the captain. The captain, on his part, never spoke but when he was spoken to. And then sharp and short and dry, and not a word wasted. He owned, when driven into a corner, that he seemed to have been wrong about the crew, that some of them were as brisk as he wanted to see, and all had behaved fairly well. As for the ship, he had taken a downright fancy to her. She'll lie a point nearer the wind than a man has a right to expect of his own married wife, sir. But, he would add, all I say is we're not home again, and I don't like the cruise. The squire at this would turn away and march up and down the deck, chin in air. A trifle more of that man, he would say, and I shall explode. We had some heavy weather, which only proved the qualities of the Hispaniola. Every man on board seemed well content, and they must have been hard to please if they had been otherwise, for it is my belief there was never a ship's company so spoiled since Noah put to sea. Double grog was going on the least excuse. There was duff on odd days, as, for instance, if the squire heard it was any man's birthday, and always a barrel of apples standing broached in the waist for anyone to help himself that had a fancy. Never knew good come of it yet, the captain said to Dr. Livesey. Spoil forecastle hands, make devils. That's my belief. But good did come of the apple barrel, as you shall hear. For if it had not been for that, we should have had no note of warning, and might all have perished by the hands of treachery. This is how it came about. We had run up the trades to get the wind of the island we were after. I am not allowed to be more plain. And now we were running down for it with a bright lookout day and night. It was about the last day of our outward voyage by the largest computation. Sometime that night, or at latest before noon of the morrow, we should sight the treasure of.